I'm Mr. David Slone, and this year with KVEC, my grant was titled Computation Migration. And without any further ado, I'll tell you what that essentially is, okay? So with every grant, you always start initially with the problem of practice. And the problem of practice I had was students are being faced to work at home without calculators. Majority of students struggle with basic math computation that I have anyway. And students in my class, some of them have IEPs and they have math, and they'll have that box checked. So they could be SOD in math, or they could be of MMD diagnosis. So anyway, they have those accommodations when performing school-based tasks. So if they're in a different setting, my thesis behind everything is that they should still be able to have those calculators when they transition to home or wherever they're at working. So if a child gets a calculator in class, why not have that luxury for all geographic locations? Now, I know with this COVID-19 epidemic, some kids, I've seen some of them work at McDonald's with Wi-Fi. I've seen them at home, grandparents' houses. And now another thing too is you can actually use your Chromebook. That's a tangible that you have that has a calculator for you. But the reason I didn't want to take that route is if you take a standardized test, whether it be a K-Prep test, CATS test, if your accommodation box is checked for a calculator, you can't use your Chromebook. Now, if you have the calculator, you can use that tangible, okay? So the calculators that I got was the TI Inspire CX2, and the function of that is to serve as a form of RTI and to fulfill IEP compliance. I think fulfilling IEP compliance, first and foremost, is the big rocks. As William Covey would say, that's something you have to do, and it's mandated that you do that. But what this thing will do is as I stated earlier, it provides math accommodation across multiple learning locations. It helps students with math discrepancies find confidence with new math principles. It will enhance being productive in other disciplines that require math. I know science has a lot of mathematics. They kind of run hand to hand if you're trying to find velocity or those other equations. And the more familiar that you get with your tangible, like I said, that could increase testing scores, okay? And I think that this is important because, for one, better testing scores, that will yield more money from you from the state, typically. In addition with that, conversely speaking, you don't have the State Department in your classroom. And like I said, as an educator, that's not something you want. So question one, what did the research tell you about what might work, and why did you choose the solution or strategy you did? Well, the answer to that was the more you use something, the better you get at it, okay? And students will begin to learn math facts, and they'll learn how to manipulate that tangible. And I think it'll help them be more competent with new math principles. So what I mean by that is if you type in 8 times 8 X amount of times, after you do that so long, it becomes fluency to you, okay? And the calculator is it'll serve as a drill and practice thing for SDI. And on top of that, with looking at new math principles, say a student, SOD in math that struggles with basic math computation, say they know what the area formula is for a square. So they know, L times W or a rectangle. Well, if they can't compute 8 times 7, we don't know if they don't understand the principle or if they don't know how to actually compute. So if they're given the calculator, if they're at home, if they're on the school bus, that evening when they leave, wherever they're at, they can still get that work done and they can do it confidently, okay? Also, this Inspire calculator is a great way to help students compute basic expressions. So like I said, you're targeting the primary lifespan with this. But the big thing is this thing will also do higher level math concepts such as graphing and other processes. And I know you guys are probably saying, well, Mr. Slone's an elementary educator. Why is that so important? Well, with the guys that I have right now, I'm anywhere from 2nd to 6th grade. And within those grade differences, there are a wide range of differences with the curriculum mapping. So I know a lot of your 6th grade kids and stuff, they're actually doing some basic algebraic expressions, whereas, your younger guys are more concretely learners. They're more concrete. They're doing basic addition, subtraction, and all that stuff. So no matter what really age group that you throw at them, these calculators, they can get the stuff done for you. 3 basic facts that I came up with when writing this grant. And like I said, I looked at everything real concretely. Like I said, our learners are concrete learners down here at the elementary school, and I didn't really think outside the box with these. So fact 1 is it says IEP recipients with calculator accommodation are mandated to get that tangible when doing math-related work, right? If your ARC team sits down and that's the verdict that you reach, if the child gets a calculator, you need to abide by that, okay? Number 2, IEPs are a binding document that special education teachers must abide by to meet compliance, okay? If you're not meeting compliance and a parent wants to raise an issue with that, it could result in legality battle, which in turn could, ruin your teaching certificate, or it could, you could be audited with the State Department due to those discrepancies. Fact number 3, the better students understand how to use their accommodations, the greater their test scores could be, okay? Like I said, all of you guys are familiar with the public school system, test scores, that's a big deal. Okay, question 2, what is your processes for implementing this, and how will you know if it is a success or not? Okay, so here's what I came up with: testing productivity of grant or the calculators. How I'm going to implement this is to take baseline data from Ed Minimum and the Brigance examination to show the starting point before the Inspire calculators are introduced. And another thing, not really looking at being productive, and I know that you really can't measure this, but I guess you can, is reflecting on math grades from the first 9 weeks, okay? Or, even looking at last year. And what we have to take into consideration is if these kids were denied that accommodation, what would their test scores be, okay? If a C average student, if you take their accommodations away from them, they could possibly be failing. So just that these students are passing their course and shipping down the assembly line, I think that's something that we really need to kind of reel on as well. So some pros of this TI Inspire calculator is, like I said, it's kind of a reoccurring theme for me in this grant was it gives students accommodations for math, computation, and all work locations, saves school money from not having to loan out tangibles. You know how it is, if you loan students calculators, they might not bring them back. And if you look across, across the district, if you've got, I know our high school's pushing 5A. If you give every student just at the high school a calculator, you're looking at probably $50 to $100 a unit. You multiply that per head, and you've ate a lot of money. This calculator has a computer algebra system, color screen display, rechargeable batteries, faster than the prior model, animated path plots, dynamic coefficient values, programming code programs, geometric figure animation, data quest application, spreadsheet features. So really, in essence, it can do a lot. Unit price. These are $143.99 a unit from Amazon. And like I said, we're a 1-to-1 school district within Johnson County, and that'll also place me at 1-to-1 with each of my 8 students in my classroom setting. So this data section is really not of importance right now. This is what I'll do when I collect the data and I go back and I compare it. So this will be used for later reference. So in closing, like I said, this is something that I always do. I always like to give you guys gratitude and thanks for what you do within our region and what you do for our students. I know with COVID and stuff hitting, we're a big athletic culture here at Johnson County, and we have a good football team, basketball program, and all that stuff. So we typically get money from those. Those are revenue-based platforms, but when we omit those from the equation, we don't have a lot of money. So on behalf of the Johnson County School District, thank you. Thank you for granting our children the opportunity for a brighter future and giving them the capital they need to be productive citizens within their local community.